that, they can, use the brain to sort of achieve. And they make a fool out of us every day. Yeah. If you got into that type and thinking that, wow, I never, focusing on my Bible strongly will sort of give me all that I want. It will make me become a good doctor. I will survive. I know of a lawyer or someone who was practicing law, and in his state of Jehovah Witness follower, that kind of person, and his continuous holding on the Bible, he probably will have so many Bible verses that will encourage him to stay as he is. This guy, I'm telling you, had to do the bar exams probably 4 or 5 times. It wasn't a one-time approach in getting it. I remember what he had to do. He'd do it and do it and do it again. He wasn't passing. He wasn't getting his bar, eventually when he got it, he practiced for a few months or so. He had to travel out of the country. So he didn't really benefit from it. And even the country that he had to end up, he cannot practice there because he had to redo the bar again in that country and then become a lawyer there. Now his God was all the time there, but he would use a test in the Bible to tell him that, oh, God knows what is best for me, and he wanted to know. He had to end up with the marriage. Most of the time, that's what happened. They put a marriage on your neck. Most Christians these days think that marriage is a problem solver or sex is a problem solver. And so no matter what, as long as he needs a woman, give him a woman and forget about it. He's a talker because he needs a wife. Just a way of being able to to fulfill the promise they have given to the people or the women that they have invited into the church, that they've used them to sort of invite people, because sometimes women are used to invite people into the church to build the church and sometimes be able to bring more income or revenue into the church. And those women, all they want is marriage. That's a faction of the day. They've been told and they've been, felt, and they've sent their friends walk on the aisle, and they sort of want to also walk on the aisle, whether it's going to last or not. Waste some people's money to become wedded, and the next time, the next minute, the next month, the wedding is over. The wedding does not achieve the success of everlasting marriage as the promise was. And you waste all the money, buy all the things they need to buy, the heavy car, and everything they have to do, invest so much into such a ceremony and do all that, and they'll say that the end of the world. But that's what they want. That's what satisfies them. And so the religious leader making the promises work, they hope in every way that if a man's life is getting wrecked and all that, they sort of put something on your neck and say, if you people come together and you sort of view that your life will be better and things will go well because 2 hairs are better than one. Of course, 2 hairs are better than one. And indeed, immediately you marry, you begin to get help and support from the same institutions, and people will begin to help you. Even in the UK, it's done. The system in such a way that if you're not married or you're not attached to a partner, if you're male or female, whichever way it is, the system does not recognize you very responsible, which is silly to me. Every individual is equally responsible and has got the responsibility. First, before to become responsible, you have to be able to build or show or reflect that you are responsible. You can take care of somebody before. But rather, they ask you to sort of prove that, be in that state of that responsibility, and then we will give you the assistance you need. So there is a lot of teenage pregnancy. You get yourself impregnated, and then we can give you the help, because then you are in the situation where you will end up in the streets, or you are in a very vulnerable state. So the assistance is necessary, and sometimes because people take advantage of that, so the system goes along that way to do that, And there's also the bad side of that. But yeah, then again, is it a bad practice? I'm not thinking about it being a bad practice. But our life in every way must not go along the way every time trying to suggest things which are not very much relevant to the fact. There are other people who don't have the chance and cannot achieve or cannot have those things that are being blessed, that others are being blessed with. Some people are not so, there are people who are barren, there are people who are impotent, there are people who are, there's so many class of people. I wouldn't talk of the other ones which we know it looks odd, in so many sense. But in a very straightforward view of life, the human beings have got we have all sort of characters. And others also believe in the idea that until they have built a life, until they have seen that they are capable of taking up responsibilities, they don't just invite the responsibilities in. And if you take that advice too and you don't make it your own way, you are bound to have issues. But most people go the hard way in terms of completely becoming not caring attitude. Don't have any caring, or they don't really mind very much in terms of trying to hold on to some norms or some standard of life or some religion in order to do things. And that don't care attitude, it leads them to end up in becoming to sort of build, and they are having a family unwanted and not very much ready, an unprepared family. And when they get into that state, through it all, the battles that they have to go through, if you are in a place like the UK, you can build your life because the system will help you, give you the assistance. Now, compared to other countries where those systems are not built that way, you will struggle a lot. If you end up into any relationship, you will struggle a lot. Because how are you going to build your life? How are you going to be able to sort of support yourself if you don't have the means to do that? So that is a whole new sort of approach to things. So in these things, if religion just encourages things in certain directions and people just fall for it, you must think about it. I will go further to tell you that there are spiritual implications, that leads to it. Sometimes people end up with people they don't want to end up with. And as they take advantage of it and all that, before the whole marriage thing has fallen apart, you end up with somebody that completely negative to what you really wanted. And how you're gonna do? You probably stay with it for some time, and you people split. What's the point in all that? What is really the reason for one to go through all that angle? Something that becomes meaningless to your life. I will hold on to the teachings of the book of the Bible and the Quran, as I said. But as I want to have expressed, it's not. I don't choose this book because it's like it's got the honest truth to me. Now, I've seen it as a religious book, which I'm revealing things. I'm sort of unveiling the things that can lead us to that drowning state that really has trapped us into a situation that we can get out. That has given us the misguidance, that the forces, the delusion that we shouldn't be in. And it is clear here, if you read through the books, there isn't any secret to it. We are at Deuteronomy. If you read Deuteronomy 12, I think the last time we did is 11. Deuteronomy 12 will tell you that the topic is unlike, say, only one place of worship. This book also is seen as a book that is supposed to generate peace or bring some peaceful things to our life. I don't think so. Women in so many ways, in my way of viewing women, is quite not as it's probably be presented in the Bible. I may have gone along with certain things, but not necessarily everything. I've learned to know my views, and I've learned to sort of embrace it as a view which is, is practicable. It's practical, that you can sort of